Everyone to our weekly class, and we're just looking at the water harmonizer. Thank you so much for joining. This is Dr. Ariel Policano. I join you every week, and it's always free, whether you own the Genius or you're interested in evaluating the Genius and getting to know what the possibilities are. So you can always come to this class. If you don't know what the link is or you need more information, you're watching this on YouTube, then please get in touch with me. You can go to awakentotalhealth.com, awakentotalhealth.com. Hit the contact me button. That email comes to myself and my team, and I'm really happy to get right back in touch with you. When you want to tell people about the Genius, I ask if you can send them to my website and have them sign up for the trial through my website. I truly appreciate it. It allows me to continue to do the research and develop the new panels and classes and continue to give this class for free and just give all the recordings for free as well. So if you think that's a good resource, then please send your referrals to awakentotalhealth.com or just introduce me to your referrals directly. I offer a 20% commission on anything. All you have to do is give me a name that goes through to a full sale, and you get 20% of the package that they purchase. So that can be sometimes a $400 or more commission. So during the class, I take your questions about the Genius, about natural health, about really anything that you guys want to talk to that's reasonably relatable to what we are trying to accomplish. Really, my goal is to teach you the best principles of natural health in order to bring that into your biofeedback work. We also do cases here, and we're going to be starting some cases soon. So there was a question about working, I think, on SNPs, and we've done an entire class on SNPs and methylation. And PT, I know you've actually taken that class, but the best thing to do is to run that methylation panel and to run the one with all of the SNPs on it, and that's going to help to improve your own defects. I mean, who knows, maybe it'll powerfully transform them. Let's look at some of that for a moment. So let's stop the water harmonizer and switch the view here. So let me just turn this off for 1 second. Let me just pop in here and just need to bring up a client for a second so we can look at this. All right, I just want to mention again, you guys, and I think I'm going to show it, that at the end of every day or every couple of days, it's really good to do an internal sync, and I want to show you what that is as well. So let's see if I can just get a client here. And okay, and then we're going to start on our cases momentarily. So hang on, let me just switch the view here. So first of all, in the libraries, we got to just add this for this client. So we just hit add all. We go back, and now we can test the libraries. So I'm going to test those libraries, and now I can bring up the methylation ones. It's going to take a moment here to switch. So let's look at that. Methylation is right here. And you want to use the methylation profile because it brings up all of the different SNPs. And I did a class on this where I went through many of the different most prevalent SNPs. These are called single nucleotide polymorphisms. And they are areas, parts of the DNA that are not working correctly due to some type of mutation over time. The one that most people know about is called the MTHFR gene. So let's see where that one is here. For example, the 1298C, which is right here. So that particular single nucleotide mutation means that you have difficulty converting folic acid to an absorbable form called folate. And that's why the supplement methylfolate has become so popular, because methylfolate can help with women who want to conceive successfully, who may have been miscarrying before, or people who have mental health issues. So depression comes to mind. They often need more folate, and if they're only taking vitamins with folic acid, they can't use that folic acid because they have this genetic change. So all of these have different implications, the MTR, the AHCY, and they may mean that you can't absorb vitamin B12 or a whole host of other issues. You can't break down protein very well, and it really helps us to understand, what foods maybe you should be focusing on or what supplements. But I think in biofeedback, we ask a greater question, which is, what can I do about this? And so you can take any of these methylation defects. Many people who took the class who did the 23andMe analysis, and then the analysis you do after that, it's called something like the genetic genie or something like that, found that their SNPs that came up on the report were very similar to the ones that came up um, on the Genius. So what you can do is you can take those SNPs that show reactivity and you can harmonize them up in the quick zap, or it's really good to combine these with many of the other things that we've talked about. Um, of course, I also have my DNA panels, so you may want to get in there and choose the chromosomes that need repair. So that would be something that would be related. Okay, hang on 1 second. Okay, so what we want to do then is take those chromosomes, and the temporary client I have is my lovely aunt that I've been talking to you about, and it's interesting to see how the chromosomal damage is so deep, or the chromosomal reactivity is there. So we've got 777 for chromosome 9p. Often when you look these up, it's hard to tell exactly what each one of these chromosomes are associated with. So it's not easy to access some of that information. So then we've got the DNA, the genetic code. These are actually the anatomical parts of the DNA. So we work on the ribosomes, we work on the DNA polymerase, the codons, the nucleotides, the deoxycytidine. Of course, it'd be great to talk all about what these all do. We'll definitely get to do that at some point in the future. And it's always good to understand the physiology and the anatomy. I think understanding the physiology somehow is connected to your own personal level of healing. And that's what I try to achieve in the classes. It's like when you understand how it works, you almost can begin to visualize or energetically start to put things in place to heal your own self. And that is part of my education. And it's one thing to study physiology, but it's another thing to sort of study it from a naturopathic perspective. And that's what I always try to bring in. It's one thing to just know the information that you could take in a college class, but really putting into context takes it a level further. So this particular SNP, the MTRRK50A, it's very likely associated with B12 or folate. I don't remember, but the MTRR and MTHFR they're very closely related. So what PT would do would be to make sure you work on this whole piece and bring in some things like the 528 Hertz, because that's changing DNA and creating miracles. You could also bring in the 285 Hertz from the solfeggios, which is about repairing tissue. And you'd be very, very smart to bring in the emotions and the flower essences. These are all going to be pieces that help to create that change that you're looking for. I firmly believe that biofeedback is a way that we do change our DNA. Sometimes when we're not working on it directly, but we do want to work on it directly with biofeedback. I believe that we're making powerful, positive change. So that's to answer that question. So do send me your other questions about, okay, we lost sound for a second. Thanks for letting me know sound is back. I might just be pausing sometimes, you guys. So, and the original question was, how to genetic test done? How can I use the Genius to turn off some SNPs that are currently turned on? I don't know it's that the SNPs are turned on. That's a little bit of a confusion there. The single nucleotide polymorphisms, that typically means that you were born with that type of mutation. But there definitely are genes in the body, for example, the P53 suppressor gene. Now that P53 suppressor gene can either be turned on or off. So that might be the difference. So in the cancer class, we talked about the P53 tumor suppressor gene. When you are meditating, eating good food, taking time to laugh, relax, it appears that the tumor suppressor P53 gene is turned on. When you're stressed out, eating poor nutrition, etc., it appears that tumor suppressor gene is switched off. And so that is one of the reasons that we created a panel in the cancer panels that looks like, where is it? Let's actually go here. Nope, not here. Go back one more, and we need to look it up right in that search box. Search box really, really helpful, you guys. If you have my 200 panels, really helps you to look for what you want. And you can look for anything, you guys. You can test anything. It doesn't have to be red or blue. For her, here, we can see probably her digestion. This is my 92-year young aunt. Probably needs some work. It's a 15, so that means the energy is pretty compressed. But what I'm really looking for is, I think it's the free of cancer frequencies. So then we bring up that P53 gene. Now she really needs that 528, the healing and miracles. She's working on other stuff where cancer is not the big issue in our genetic line, although knock wood and think good thoughts, don't want to take that for granted. We're always trying to work on cancer prevention, I think all of us, but it's been cardiovascular stuff. So she has to watch out for high blood pressure and so forth. But if we look here, what I'm really looking for is okay, yeah. So expand the P53. This is how we create frequencies or language that we use hololinguistically in order to create change. Optimize the P53, empower the P53, maximize the P53. So if you think a particular gene is not turned on, then you could use this technique in creating your own custom libraries, or you could get my custom libraries. But with SNPs, you're really trying to harmonize them so that you could maybe at a greater level change that mutation in order to restore its original functionality. So that's what you're really going for there. So let's do a quick progressive insights. Progressive insights is always going to give you more information. Now, nucleotides are so interesting because if you know the Premier Research Labs line, they actually make these nucleotides for healing. And Dr. Marshall used to talk about these for being when you're really trying to heal from an injury, when you're trying to heal like from an accident or from an illness, like you've gotten over the virus, but you're trying to really propel yourself like a convalescence type of thing. You're trying to really, really get better. So he used to talk about, he actually has that supplement of the nucleotides. And when you're concerned about getting cancer, I believe he also talked about the nucleotides being really, really good for either healing from cancer or preventing cancer. And I don't remember all the nutrition he had in there. I don't know if Liza is on with us today. So she could probably give a better explanation. Oh, there she is. Liza, I'm going to unmute you for a second. You're probably multitasking, and I don't know if we have your microphone. Maybe not. I'll just try unmuting you here. So see if you're there. Oh, you are there. Hey, Liza, how are you? Oh, no, we don't have any microphone, but your microphone says green, but it's not coming through. But she could probably give a great explanation as to why Dr. Marshall recommended those nucleotides. But you guys get the idea. So for her, makes sense. She had a recent injury, so kind of makes sense. Okay, so then we would just select all, and we would do some harmonizing for her. So that's what I wanted to talk about from that to answer that question. So remember, you can send in your questions, and Welcome. We've got great attendance today. Welcome, Lena. Welcome, Sherry from Canada. Welcome, Sherry from California. I think Mary Lee said she's in California today, so warm welcome. Want to welcome Hattie, who's checking out the 14-day trial. Donato, welcome. Darlise, welcome. Really good to have you guys along today. Sharon M, a warm welcome to you. Roni, welcome. Okay, so there was something else. So I want to talk a little bit. I want to get to the case for today, a couple of cases. And remember, if you have a case you want me to work on, remember to send in your date of birth. Or I know people, you can send me some emails before. You can send me an email before class if you want to be worked on. Just want to talk about the kidneys and a little bit of physiology. Remember that we have some kidney panels that we can run. So let's just look at those for her and talk about the fact that kidney issues are kind of on the rise. I've heard a really strange not resurgence, but a strange, it seems coincidental. I've heard a lot of people reporting kidney cancer, which it seems really weird. It's something that I think in popular, US or Northern American culture, or conventional wisdom, or whatever you want to call it, we really think about breast cancer, we think about heart disease, we think about colon cancer, prostate cancer, but kidney cancer, we don't really typically think about it too much. So, but I'm hearing more, even just in my sort of small population, a higher incidence of occurrence. Do you guys find that as well? Because I know for sure that kidney issues have been on the rise. For example, chronic kidney failure. And I feel very confident that that kidney failure comes as a result of the rich Western diet, meat and dairy and high protein diets, which has been basically inserted into the whole consciousness of how human beings are supposed to eat. It's like been flown in through the ethers since you're eating solid food, that you're supposed to get enough protein. Little did you know that this protein consumption could be your undoing. And so by the time a person is 50, if they're getting a lot of high protein throughout their years, they can actually cause a deterioration of the kidneys. So part of it, interestingly enough, the reason is that when you eat meat, dairy, and there's sort of two reasons, meat, dairy, and oil, is that the high protein content puts an extra strain on the kidneys. So that's part of it. And then the other part is that when you have a higher cholesterol or a higher fat level, it starts to starve the circulation. So it's the starvation of circulation that really is part of the issue. Let's just plug in a brief foray into kidney physiology. And this is one of the things I'm really going to be focusing on in the upcoming classes, and that I have focused on in my Natural Health Mastery program, is to give you a bit of physiological understanding. So let's just do a quick basics here. It's just a really quick and dirty, like let's do the Sesame Street of kidney function. So she's got here creatine high, GFR abnormal. Her labs did not show this. Her labs showed that her kidneys were fine, most recent labs, but this is also picking it up energetically in a way that lab standards may not be able to detect. A lab result is an average, and it's usually an average of a sick population, because those are the only people who really have labs done. So the kidney is not one large filter. Each kidney is made up of about 1 million filtering units called nephrons. We're going to look at this next in the actual kidney anatomy. So it said here hydration, electrolytes. Okay, so she needs to do better on that. And she is taking something terrible, which is diuretics. And there's a whole reason why diuretics are just silly. They deplete your mineral content. And if they deplete your mineral content, guess what? That's going to cause your blood pressure to go high, because important minerals like potassium and magnesium help to reduce your blood pressure. So the whole allopathic medical system leaves something to be desired, to say the least. So the nephron includes this tiny, teeny little nephron in what we call the microvasculature. So imagine that your kidney could fit in the palm of your hand, you guys, and that your kidney contains 1,000,000 nephrons, 1,000,000 of these little functional units. And each nephron includes a filter called the glomerulus. So now imagine a little coffee filter. That's like the glomerulus. And then it filters into the tubule. The nephrons work through a two-step process. The glomerulus lets the fluid and waste products pass through it. So like the coffee filter, however it prevents, so imagine the coffee maintained in the filter, not the liquid, it prevents blood vessels and large molecules, mostly protein, from passing. So it's going to prevent that from going through the kidney filtration system a little bit further down the road. It just lets this liquid go through, which is mostly minerals and a lot of your pharmaceutical medications, things, byproducts from that are being eliminated from the body. So the filtered fluid then passes through the tubule, which sends the needed minerals back to the bloodstream. So this whole series of tubes that go up and down, and we study all this in naturopathic school, convoluted tubule. At certain places, minerals get removed. At certain places, minerals get put back. And then it removes waste. So the final product becomes urine, goes down from the kidneys through the ureter into the bladder, and so on and so forth. So that's just the really basic, quick and dirty understanding of what the kidney does, right? So here's your kidneys, and then within the kidneys are those 1,000,000 nephrons. So, and then the kidneys exist, let's see, we might even be able to see here, right at the bottom of the ribs, right in the back of the body. And they could fit sort of in the palm of your hand. You know, they're not super big, right? They're relatively small. So they do an amazing job. So then you can go, so if you understand that kidney physiology, you could actually go to kidney anatomy and you'd have a little bit of a better understanding of what's going on. So the renal corpuscle that's within that nephron system, and it says her nephrons are not doing that well. Remember, the nephron is that full filtration system. And the distal convoluted tubule, this will put some, you know, it's interesting, the distal convoluted tubule, if I remember correctly, is where the minerals that have been going through the tubes actually get taken back up. And diuretics disrupt that distal convoluted tubule so that you start to lose the minerals like sodium and you lose more water. So that's kind of interesting, isn't it? That maybe the medications are actually affecting her distal convoluted tubule. So the renal capsule, the renal calyx, this is all, you know, things around the whole kidney itself. So that's really fun, you guys. That is something that once you understand the physiology, then you have more, there's more going on, especially when you're working on yourself or your intention is to heal your client, because your cognitive understanding is contributing to the energy that you're also sending to those areas, those parts within yourself or to other people. There's a lot that's going on in biofeedback, but there's a lot that is going on with the practitioner or the person who's beginning to have this greater understanding of their own body, of their own physiology. So then we could use some oils. So these are related to healing emotional issues associated with the kidneys. And this one just says the dietone, which is a young living oil. I believe that still has to do with digestion. And then we can use some premier products for the kidneys. So this says, interestingly enough, you know, Dr. Marshall used to talk about how important DHA is for kidney function. And DHA is, you know, usually associated with fish oil, right? The dicosahexaenoic acid. However, it can come from algae. There are algae sources. That's what the fish basically consumes. So you may want to look for a microalgae form of that. Hisonol and allomannan. Hisonol is for underlying infections. So that's what I wanted to cover about the kidneys. I wanted to talk a little bit about that. And I don't know if I can get these from my email. The reason I want to talk about that in particular, I wanted you guys to have an understanding of the kidneys, of then what you do for biofeedback in the kidneys, but also just dietarily, you guys. You guys know I talk a lot about a plant-based diet, and I don't want to confuse any of that with the fact that you should decide what's right for you. So, and I like to always tell you why the plant-based diets are so important. So I just want to explain a little bit of that today related to the kidneys. But you should always decide what's right for you. Like for some people, it might be, they might hear my words and they might feel really right to adopt a fully 100% plant-based diet. For other people, maybe you really want to just have meat once a week, and maybe your body is made where you can tolerate that. It's it's like you have to evaluate for yourself, and the biofeedback system can help what's working for you and what's not. You know, really simple marker is if you're trying to lose weight and you keep eating a ketogenic diet as an example, but you're not losing weight, then we can conclude that that diet probably is not the one that's best for you to achieve your goals. So that's what it's all about. You know, it's really what is your body craving? One of the things that, let me show some of these pictures, that's really concerning is that, you know, people need different diets at different ages. People need different diets at different times of the year. People need different diets in different climates. So I'm trying to bring you what I feel is most important. You know, I do think you need times of detoxification in your life. You need times when you need to re-nourish in your life, and it's up to you and maybe a good practitioner to kind of determine which stage you're in. But to think that you need to eat the same thing all the time is just kind of silly. But I do think that there are basic principles that apply, like whole unprocessed foods. Okay, so I wanted to just show you this in relationship to Dr. Walter Kempner. So if you're interested, there's a book that you can get on Amazon called Walter Kempner and the Rice Diet. Walter Kempner and the Rice Diet, Challenging Conventional Wisdom. The reason I want to tell you about this is because it's lost wisdom. Dr. Kempner was extremely popular in North Carolina around the 1930s and 1940s. You can see this picture is from the 1960s. So I think he worked in his clinic up until about the 1970s. Anyway, so what he did, and I know this is going to really blow your mind, is that his treatment was basically to feed people rice. That was his secret. People would come to him extremely sick. So let's just show this picture. This was a young girl with very serious kidney disease. That's why I'm relating it to what we're talking about today. When he took her off the standard American diet of milk, dairy, oil, and so forth, put her on rice, water, table sugar. I think that, no, rice, water, there might have been some table sugar, fruit juice, and rice, water, table sugar, fruit juice, and fruit. Right, fruit. Fruit was the other main thing. It's basically rice and fruit. Sorry, you guys, I'm not the best morning person. Still 9 o'clock on the West Coast. So all of that you see, if you can see this picture, this is not a fat. This is all water. And you guys, if you ever feel like you're gaining weight or just you feel bloated or whatever, this could be a functional deterioration in your own kidney function. You know, this could be that you also are retaining a certain measure of water. So then she's on the rice diet, and you can see that just looks like a normal kid. And then this one also is that the nephrotic stage of glomerular nephritis, was causing, I think it was causing heart. I'm trying to remember, but this whole film was filled. It must have been, I mean, it's either water or it's an over-enlarged heart. Anyway, you can see how this progresses from June 18th to September 29th to October 15th. Everything is practically back to normal. And then there was another one here showing the problem with the plasma protein. So the origin is in the kidneys, but you can see what's happening, filling the whole cavity up in the film. So I just wanted you guys to have that perspective, because that's part of the kidneys, the toll that is being taken. There are two parts to it. I believe it's overworking the kidney and having to break down the protein, and the other part is the lack of oxygen. So then here is the eyes, and you guys, a lot of people are going to have problems with their eyes as they age because of the food that they're eating. So this was before, this was after, this was before, this was after. I think he talks about the exudates. So the exudates are often as a result of very poor circulation, these little white spots here, and you can see how much better. I mean, it's amazing that actually it looks like there's no blood flow through here, and then all of the vessels look like they're healing here. And I believe that these spots are also part of the pathology. I think those are part of the exudates. And then they're clearing up a lot here. So anyway, I wanted to mention that when we're thinking about working on the kidneys or just thinking about health in general. And then there was one more quote from Walter Kempner. He said that the cessation of the chemical function of the kidney, this is in his book on page 78, the cessation of the chemical function of the kidney is not necessarily due to anatomical destruction, but can be caused by a temporary change of the oxygen concentration in the cell environment. So I just wanted to read that again. He did these studies. They demonstrated that the cessation of the chemical function of the kidney is not necessarily due to anatomical destruction, but can be caused by a temporary change of the oxygen concentration in the cell environment. So what this means ultimately is that the effects of foods like processed foods, really heavy fat foods, a lot of the meat and dairy in general, right? I'm saying in general, like people who eat it 3 times a day, all 7 days of the week, the ramifications are that they starve oxygen. And imagine back to that nephron and fitting 1 million units into that nephron. Imagine how small the blood vessels and the vasculature have to be. So if there's a tiny bit of disruption to the oxygenation, imagine the effect that it has. So I wanted to mention that since we are seeing so many people who have kidney issues. And the last sort of piece of this that I'm not quite sure about is the kidney cancer. But when we do have irritation and inflammation over long periods of time, then this can be a precursor to cancer. So that's something also to think about. Now, all right, so Fifi asks, white rice or brown rice? Now, I always recommend brown rice, Fifi. However, Dr. Kempner really used white rice. And the reason he had to use white rice is because there's a lot of protein in rice, despite what popular culture teaches us. And so a full brown rice had too much protein for some of his kidney patients. So brown rice is always preferred because of the amazing amount of nutrition, B vitamins, minerals that are in the bran part and the fiber, of course. But he was able to even get that function with rice. You guys, grains have been so demonized in today's world that it's almost laughable. In China, what have a billion people subsisted on primarily is rice. Now they're becoming quite affluent, so they're going to try to consume the Western diet. But for, how long were they slim on eating rice? Rice is a perfect food. It has a perfect amount of nutrition. It's only missing vitamin A and vitamin C in terms of the whole sort of the full, plate of what human nutrition is, what we need as human beings. I'm going to be switching to make sure that we can get this case in. So I'm just going to switch the view here. But I do want to give you a little bit, as much as I can, of physiology, because it is so valuable, because it can help you to understand the person and what they're going through and hopefully give them good lifestyle recommendations. That's what we've talked about a lot in our classes, in the practitioner classes, is combining good biofeedback practices with physiology, with understanding physiology, and sort of letting them play, play with each other. And so people have found that really, really helpful. And if I could just find the note that I need to find, that would be awesome. All right, so we're going to work with Elaine. So if Elaine wants to get ready, she is with Karen up in Canada. And Elaine, if you can get ready, we're going to go ahead and work on your case in just a moment. And of course, I'm just not finding exactly the information that I need. So let me just see if I can pull it up here. And there we go. Okay, we've got a picture. Okay, now I've got the date that I need. So yeah, so if you combine those two, the more you understand the basic physiology, the better your results, I believe, will be. But often it's hard to just read online and get some context. I know for me, understanding physiology was one of the most valuable pieces to going to naturopathic school, and that's what I really seek to bring to other people. Okay, let's get that picture back on, and let's get a voice recording here. So let's go ahead. And so keep sending your questions, you guys. If you have cases, go ahead and send the cases. And if we don't work on them this week, make sure you email me the case you want me to start with next week. And then you'll be at the front of the line there. Okay, Karen, are you there?
Absolutely. How are you?
Good, good. How are you doing?
Well, excited, but pretty exhausted. It's been a
Yeah,
long 48 hours here,
I
72.
know, I know. All right,
Yeah,
well, let's get Elaine's voice.
it's right next
Is
to
she
me.
there? Okay, hi,
Hello,
Elaine. Hi, how are you?
I'm all right, thank you.
All right. Well, let's get your voice. Let's have you say your name. If you want, you can just say your first name because it's going to be recorded and then posted. And then just keep repeating A-E-I-O-U. Does that sound good?
Okay,
All
my
right. And I'll just count you down so we both start at the same time. 3, 2, 1. I'm recording.
my name is Elaine Mark. The vowels A-E-I-O-U, 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 A-E-I-O-U.
Okay, perfect. Got it. And Elaine, tell us a little bit about what we're working on today.
I believe would be digestive system,
Okay. What's going on? What symptoms are you experiencing?
bloating, and constipation.
That sounds like digestion to me. And is that the main thing we're working on?
You know what? I believe there's a host of other things, but Karen had mentioned to speak about one of them.
Well,
Okay, no, that's really good. And can you
also
give us
skin.
a little bit of background about when the bloating starts and when it happens, things like that?
Um, when it starts, I think just eating the wrong foods or at the wrong time of eating foods could be. Not having a regular, good, clean diet. Because I'm living in China and I have a busy type of schedule and usually can order in food conveniently.
Okay, but so bloating and the issues with, feeling a little bit not regular, that type of thing, that's the main concern
Right.
for today. Okay. All
And
right.
just to let you know too.
Yeah,
Karen,
please.
Karen mentioned the skin too, because I'm not healing properly, which is very unusual for me.
Now we got toe, but we've also got a like almost like a breakout, and it's in all the skin areas, all the frequencies. And of course, it's going to be exacerbated with the her mom passing yesterday.
Of
But it
course. I'm very
affected, it
sorry for
looks
your loss.
like diabetic toe.
Diabetic? What was that?
It looks almost like diabetic toe.
Oh, can you just tell, I'm doing some testing anyway. Can you just tell me a little bit about the toe? I'm sorry, I don't understand. You're pretty young for having like any kind of diabetic nephropathy or an advanced diabetic. What's going on there? Is it like a rash?
I think, well, I believe it. sometimes I get a rash. We have a climate, and about 3 or 4 years ago in March, April, my skin would break out with an extreme rash, and it occurred around my eyes heavily, and then even my midsection of the body and the back.
And what
But
does it look like? Does it look like raised red? Yeah, raised red like pustules, or what does it look? What does that rash
no,
look like?
it was a dry red rash that was around my eyes, and then on the back of my midsection, it was just an itchy, oh, itchy. The back was itchy, and it did open up some wounds, or created them. But
I'm sorry, what? You mean when you scratched it, it actually, are you saying you scratched it or what happened?
scratched it and maybe had opened up some wounds, and then I probably exasperated it by scrubbing, which was wrong.
Oh, people do that. That's pretty common. Okay,
Okay.
got it. Okay, let me run with this because we don't have much time, and we'll come
Okay.
back and talk about this a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, fantastic. So we only have a little bit of time. So digestion and skin go together like peanut butter and jelly. If there's a digestive system issue, there can often be a skin issue. If there's a skin issue, you can be rest assured that they need to work on their digestive system. There almost is never a time when there's not a connection there, whether it's psoriasis, dermatitis. The only exception would be maybe contact dermatitis, where somebody is actually nickel or something like that irritates them externally. But the total insanity of our dermatology or our conventional dermatology practice has been to just, as they told me in naturopathic school, what they do with their medications is if it's dry, make it wet. If it's wet, make it dry. And that's really, sounds pretty funny, but that's, mostly what they do. They also do a lot of suppressive things like cortisol to suppress the immune response. So just some interesting things coming up here, right? If you go to all of my libraries, then there's Vital Force one, there's one about minerals, which is interesting. There's one about the brain, microbes, some dental stuff. So it's fun just to see what some of those are. Some of them are, have so many libraries, some of them are not totally clear that they apply to the case, but it's fun to just look at some of those that come up. So some core things that may be causing this, we're looking at maybe EMFs, something in the home, something in the workplace. So that's kind of interesting. Let's go ahead and let's look at the digestive system. So let's go ahead and bring up all of the digestive panels that most people who have the 200 panels have these. And let's go ahead and look at the digestive where's digestive assessment? That's what I'm trying to find. Okay, so the digestive assessment panel, bile salts are low, so that would be something like lecithin would be good for that, or a liver flush would be good for that. Lecithin, like the soy lecithin, or you can get sunflower. This says a possible diverticulitis, which would be the early stages. If there was stressing and straining, then that could be the early stages of diverticulitis. So more fiber in the diet, more hydration, more plant-based foods, and also a squatty potty. Make sure you're using a kind of a step to put your feet up to create that squat position on the toilet. All right, low stomach acid, which would lead to poor digestion. There's some type of an infection. It says fungus and candida, enzyme deficiency, leaky gut, the need to alkalize. Yeah, there's definitely some diverticulosis. A slant board would be good. So those things, I'm going all the way up to 200, you guys. Let's see if we can get a little bit more information. Let's look at some of the other panels. It's interesting, we did this last time, the diverticulitis assessment, remember, sort of being more prevalent than we might have thought. It's not really showing up here. Let's go to what I wanted to do was maybe the this other digestive panel to see if it gives us any more information. And liver detoxification, sluggish. Of course, we talked about that leaky gut. Undigested food means, you know, the need for more enzymes. The digestive fire is not very high. Consuming food sensitivities, colonic congestion, insulin sensitivity, sugar regulation, casein intolerance. So definitely a need to clean up the diet as much as possible. Get some colonics or enemas, do a castor oil pack. You know, all of those things would be really helpful, kind of what she suspected. Then let's see there's one more that I wanted to look at, which is this one. So sort of a number of different panels for looking at digestion. I just want to see if it brings any more information. So the gluten intolerance, the nervous system needs support. Now she just went through, very serious loss. So there's a lot of emotional stuff up. Pancreatic insufficiency, and so on and so forth. So yeah, we definitely need to tone up the digestion. And then you can go to the digestive solutions and see what would really help with that. And then skin stuff, I find that it's part toxicity, part digestive, like internal toxicity. The old naturopathic texts talk about autotoxicity. So when there are toxins stuck in your body, they continue to circulate in your bloodstream. So this autotoxicity, or even if your body produces certain metabolic waste, like from eating meat, you know, we produce this cadaverine, which is the same stuff they embalm bodies with, right? So then we take that into our bloodstream if it's not properly eliminated from the body. And so that's called autointoxication. So wormwood, you know, you may want to look into this wormwood. Very, very good for toning the digestion, for excreting worms, for dealing with other parasites. This is something that, Dr. Hulda Clark talked about a lot, and you can find that online pretty easily. All right, so some garlic, some bifidus, some taurine. That's probably good for the nervous system. Let's look at some practices that could improve the digestion. That's what all of these different panels help to sort of progress. So some skin brushing, rebounding, and some colon hydrotherapy would be good. So we looked at the aura. Good to get some flower essences, of course, into the mix. So just use the flower essence panel, do a quick check on that. I think I passed it. So we've got this, the body, the mind. Nope, I didn't go far enough. It's right here. Here we go. And then, of course, your solfeggios. Remember to use your solfeggio. So for her, I definitely would use the 528. The 528 frequency, the 285 for repairing. Injured tissue would be good for the skin stuff. So let's get those in there really quickly. And then you could also do a skin assessment. This is very, very good. We're talking for anyone who does any work with the skin. This is good to run that skin assessment panel to see what's coming up in the skin, what's going on with the skin. So liver stress, so back to the liver. So when we say dealing with the digestive system, we're not just dealing with the colon, you know, really dealing with the liver. You guys, even after doing this work for so long, the one common theme sounds so cliched, but it's detoxification. Always be scheduling time for yourself to do some detoxification, you know, during your year, maybe 4 times a year when you're doing either colonics or an intentional detox, changing up your diet, doing castor oil packs. So liver stress, glycation damage, that comes from the sugar issue, dysbiosis, so having to correct that gut microbiome. And then let's see if there's any physiology to the actual, I was looking for pathology, but this is actually the melanocytes, the hair follicles, the different layers of the skin, so that'll help to heal the skin. And then what I was looking for was the skin cancer, the skin assessment, skin healing solutions. I was actually looking for like a pathology one, which I don't have. I need to create that one that has sort of psoriasis and eczema on there. Okay, so there's some essential oils. So let's go right to progressive insights, and then we'll get some of your input. People like to contribute some of their ideas for physical healing. So garlic, tyrosine, this means garlic would be good, but the green beans should be left out. Mustard is a flour essence, bile salts low, liver detoxification, diverticulitis, gluten intolerant. Walnut, enzyme deficiency, dysbiosis, an allergy to coffee. So if you're drinking coffee, I would definitely give it up. I recently gave it up, and it's not easy. You know, coffee is such an addictive substance. It's so much more addictive than we give it credit for. And it really does. It does put a stress and strain on the kidneys as well, raises the blood pressure, stresses out the adrenals. So I know people in the Pacific Northwest will come after you with a pitchfork if you recommend discontinuing coffee in the cloudy Pacific Northwest, but it really does have implications, and it's a terribly, terribly addictive substance. You could see by how upset people get upset when you suggest that they take it away, that they remove it. So mustard is deep gloom for no reason, but we know that actually she has a very good reason to feel gloomy. So those who are liable to times of gloom or even despair, as though a dark cloud has overshadowed them and hid the light and joy from life. It may not be possible to give any reason or explanation for such attacks. Under these conditions, it's almost impossible to feel happy or cheerful. So this may just be the timing of just feeling in such grief that it feels hard to feel happy or cheerful, which would make sense. So to have to lose someone in your life that you love, that would be a very good reason. And the whole point of the flower essence is to unwind that, to release that. So walnut is protect from change and unwanted influences for those who have definite ideas and ambitions in their life and are fulfilling them, but on rare occasions are tempted to be led away from their own ideas, aims, and work by the enthusiasm, convictions, or strong opinions of others. This remedy gives constancy and protection from outside influences. And then I thought there was one more. So we had walnut, we had mustard, and then maybe that's it. We don't have a third one. Pine needle oil. So there's probably some type of parasitic thing going on. Let's see. Nope, I think that's it. Yeah, there was only 2 that really came up, which is really interesting. Usually there's a few more. Okay, so it's really all the digestive stuff that really needs to go. Cleaning up the diet, just maybe you have a good diet, but eliminating all of the usual things, especially meat, dairy, and oils for a while. Getting a good colonic treatment, getting good castor oil, getting that liver back on track. I recommend green smoothies, even wheatgrass juice, and other types of naturally pressed juices, some carrot juice, some green juices, things like that would be very, very helpful. So let's just go back and see how these gals are doing. And Karen, are you there?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so how did that information land with you?
It sounds very familiar. My body had asked for these things a few months ago, and I had ordered them. I just never, I guess, used. You know, I had the insight. I bought the liver cleanse and things like that, and the walnut, and didn't apply the liver cleanse yet, even though I got it 4 months ago, 5 months ago.
Yeah, that happens to all of us. So, hopefully, both Karen's influence and hearing me say it, all of those things are sort of catalysts to revive that connection and
Yes.
re-inspire that commitment to do that. I do think it is very important, and this is a good point. When you feel stable and ready to do it, it'll really, be a world of good.
Yes.
And we did do a colonic, and we taught our animals yesterday, so.
Oh, good. And just the biofeedback alone, it is, because people are often like, well, is that like the treatment? Like, isn't the frequency the treatment? So the frequency is the treatment. Some of this will improve your digestion, but it also goes beyond that in being part of what gives you the strength. It's that underlying foundation energetically that gives you the strength where you might wake up tomorrow and feel like, you know what, I'm really ready to do this. So biofeedback works in, very mysterious ways, but it may be giving you that energetic boost to just be like, well, totally ready for this detox now.
Yes.
Okay, well, hopefully you experience some of that. We'll keep running frequency for you.
Thank you.
And yeah, and we'll keep sending you lots of love and many, many blessings.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ariel.
Okay, excellent. And thank you, Elaine, for being part of our class today. And thank you for volunteering and letting us work with you. This is a great way for everyone to learn. Let's look at some of the amazing input that we have from our sort of collection of healers here. Patricia says the food in China is, I'm just going to paraphrase, she says not that great, not that healthy. Some of it, maybe because of the pesticides and so forth. John says arsenic in rice, but be very, very careful and be very, very clear that toxins and heavy metals best accumulate, they bioaccumulate up the food chain in fatty foods. So a chicken that eats rice will have a concerning level of arsenic. The level of arsenic that you eat in your rice, you have to eat a lot of rice to really build that up. Now, to really split hairs, if you are concerned, look for California organic rice or rice in Thailand. Both of these rices appear to be lower in arsenic. Okay, so there was a good one here. Kelly says, she sounds like our family. Hepar sulf, I know what this is, hepar sulf. And Cal gets rid of the red scaly rash. She may have the sulfur gene. Yeah, there's a homeopathic called hepar sulf or hepar sulfuricum. So it's related to the liver and sulfur. So you may want to look into that homeopath. When you switch screens, can you please be sure to tell us where you're going? Thanks, Debbie, and congratulations for joining the Genius community. A lot of the panels that I looked at today are in your libraries that you got with your Platinum program. Highland products for bile salts. Which Highland product is it? Is it called like Bile Salt 6X or something like that? Let us know. Okay, cooking rice in large amounts of water, or yeah, I would think soaking it in the water and then throwing the water off and then cooking it after. That also helps to sprout the rice. And I think pre-soaking your rice for maybe overnight is really good for many reasons. It makes the rice more easily digestible. Okay, so let's keep going here. There are few more things that I wanted to talk about. So one of the things I wanted to share with you, I think I need to do this. This will be a little easier. Let's just go to the main screen for a second. So Kelly is really, really helpful with helping us to understand certain, because she has a connection to this, certain strains of the flu and viruses to be concerned about. And some of you got the influenza panels when we talked about them that day back in the winter time. So I'm going to the libraries now, and I just wanted to go back to that influenza panel that we worked on together, and some people purchased it afterwards. We did the influenza assessment. Let's see what we put on here. So what we put on here, I just want to go back to Kelly's information that she sent to me. This is from energetic testing from a doctor that she works with in San Diego. So the viruses this year that we want to plug into this influenza assessment, we already have one of them, which is the H3N2. So you guys remember, this was the most severe one that people were not living through. Oh gosh, we're a bit over time, but I just want to add two more. So if you guys want to add it or just write them down, go ahead and add in H3N5. So I'm going to add that in now. H3N5, that's for a respiratory, well, that's not a flu, but a virus that lingers. So that's a virus to be concerned about. I guess it's totally not exactly under the influenza assessment, but you guys get the idea. These are viruses that you want to be harmonizing or checking yourself for. So you check it, see if it's red and blue, and then include it in your harmonizing if it comes up for you. So let's add that one. And then H1N1 is another one. And so this seems to be one that's mutating, and it's gaining some ground in the mutated form. So H1N1. And if anybody has specific Hertz frequencies for these, email them to me and I'll share them with everybody. So if you have particular Rife or Hertz frequencies for eliminating these viruses, then send them to me. They would be ones I would assume that they're not exactly in the CAFL. They might be ones that you find on, smaller sites and so forth. So yeah, so we got all these. So now let's quickly do a test on it. So we can have to add it to the client, right, in its new form. And then let's go back, and then we have to retest usually the whole thing. So we should get another ability to retest. That's not working. Okay, I got to go back to the beginning, and then next, skip. You guys, I'm just trying to show this just for our demonstration purposes, so I'm not going to re-record voice and picture. Remember that your voice, the more voice recordings you input, it actually is basing it off the whole database of the voice recording for that person that has been built up over time. So the more voice recordings you get for them, the better. Okay, so I just wanted to look at this influenza treatment. So just wanted to look at this assessment, and I just want to see if any of those are resonating. This is how you would test it. I'm just doing a demonstration. So it sort of says that H3N2 was coming up, so it's maybe dormant. This is maybe just an underlying infection. It doesn't mean it's active for right now. And for some reason that's coming up, and then this is coming up. So none of the other ones, but that's how you would test for it. So the other thing that I wanted to, oh, that's interesting. So that's sort of an underlying, maybe an underlying thing going on there. We're all carrying around underlying infections, you guys. So, you have to keep working on them. That's why we're bringing this up. That's why we're talking about it. Okay, so let's just go back to, just want to look at the aura here. And do that. And then I just want to show you the database backup, you guys. So before everybody has to skedaddle for the day, and then I have a few more comments to read, and then we'll wrap up for the day. So let's just see what the aura is. It's interesting when you usually see this pattern of somebody, it looks like the aura is sort of getting brighter, or it was brighter, and then they move into, there's a little bit of gray going on here. So there's two things. Either they've gone more deeply into the physical healing, they've sort of gone to work on that healing stuff, and they're in that process, in which case you want to keep sending them frequency until it clears out. But it also looks like she's pulling in all the energy, the green healing heart connection energy on the left side, and then moving out that darkness on the right, because we're pulling things, this person's facing us, we're pulling the information in here and pushing it out on the right side. One thing I really want to make sure I show you is within on your navigation bar and in your settings, every day, you guys, at the end of the day or at the end of the week, make sure you go to sync database and just sync all of this. What it will do is it sends all of your information to the cloud. You have to do it when your Wi-Fi or internet connection is turned on, or if you already have a phone data plan, it could do it from your phone directly. But you want to do that at least once a week, and it will back everything up for you. All right, so you had a couple more comments. Let's quickly read them. Did the doctor use brown rice? I thought it was white rice, which shouldn't sprout. So I think, again, we're splitting hairs. I didn't say that Dr. Kempner used sprouted white rice. But you can read the book, Walter Kempner and the Rice Diet. He used white rice. You know, he worked with a lot of kidney folks, and so they couldn't even take the protein content that was in the rice. Okay. Mary Lee, I don't know who Janet is, so can you send me an email and let me know? She maybe is somebody who's trying the Genius. So yes, just send me an email and we'll totally we'll get squared away and we'll work with her, no problem at all. And I apologize that this went a little bit long on that lesson and then that case, so we didn't have time for more cases. All right, so where do you sync? It's exactly, you go into your navigation bar at the upper right. I'm going to do this and then we'll wrap up for the day. And then you go to settings and then you tap on the Genie Cloud Sync database. That's an internal sync that makes sure every test that you've done is backed up to the cloud so that you can retrieve them at any time. You guys, I am here every week, 9 o'clock. Pacific time. I love it when you come and join us, and I'm going to post this on my YouTube channel within the next hour. And I really love everyone's participation. Send me an email, awakentotalhealth.com. Just hit the contact us button at the bottom right. Send me a message, anything else I can clarify for you or anyone that you know that's interested in getting the Genius Insight system. Have a great day and a great week. Many blessings and much love, everyone. Take care now and be well. Bye-bye for now.